You and I are gonna read the news together. That's what's gonna happen. I do not know any of the details of this story, so I'm just gonna go ahead and give you all the fair warning. I'm not doing fan art for this one, and usually that's a sign of two things. Either one, I'm being incredibly lazy, or two, it's something that we definitely should not have fan art in at all because it is that bad. This is going to be the latter because we're talking about war crimes. So just be careful. If you get easily triggered by things, maybe this is a video you should walk away from. I'm saying that in your best interest. That said, let's go ahead and take a look at exploding pagers. I guess that's the flavor of the day is exploding pagers. Of all things that we get to read about. Yay! So we're gaining followers. Okay, that's just conversation about the other thing. Anyway, Hezbollah is hit by a wave of exploding pagers that killed at least 9 people and injured thousands. Okay? Beirut, pagers used by hundreds of members of the militant group Hezbollah exploded near simultaneously Tuesday in Lebanon in Syria, killing at least 9 people, including an 8-year-old girl, and wounding several thousand others. Let's see here. Espen, no. Espen, I'm going to refund that. I don't think this is a topic. No, this is not the topic for this. That needs to be refunded. This is no. They included an 8-year-old girl in the casualties, wounding several thousand. Hezbollah and the Lebanese government blamed Israel for what appeared to be a sophisticated remote attack. Jesus fucking Christ. An American official said Israel briefed the United States on Tuesday after the conclusion of the operation, in which small amounts of explosives were secreted into the pagers and then detonated. The person spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the information publicly. Oh! So Israel just did a fucking war crime. So as Santa pointed out, there's only a handful of people who use pagers anymore in the modern world, and doctors are one of them. So are we just killing doctors via remote detonation? You remember in the Hunger Games, that moment? I'm just going to go ahead and spoil the Hunger Games for anybody who hasn't read them. If you have not read Hunger Games, maybe click off this video real quick because I'm going to spoil it in the next 10 seconds. But you know that moment in the Hunger Games where they've won the war, everything's hunky-dory, and then, at the last second, there's a bunch of supply drops that are given, and they are given to a bunch of people outside of President Snow's mansion. The supply drops end up dropping onto the ground, and typically in the world of the Hunger Games, these are a good thing. People have grown up conditioned to these supply drops. And then, when the supply drops are grabbed by medical staff that are under the employ of President Coin, they are exploded, killing several children and wounded hostages in the president's in President Snow's outside area, and it ended up being President Coin that called that to happen, killing several of her own people so that they could make it look like the Capitol had killed a bunch of people. And that was one of the reasons that Coin ended up dying at the end of the book. She was killed because so many people were killed, including the main character's little sister. And this is universally seen as a fucking bad thing, right? So here's Israel just doing the same fucking shit. Okay. Said it's a lot less cool when it's real. It wasn't even cool when it fucking happened in Hunger Games. It was traumatic when it happened in Hunger Games. Okay. Let's see here. Citrus Person says, no, Hezbollah was using pagers since smartphones have GPS. Gotcha. Then what was an 8-year-old girl doing there? Anyway, let's see here. The Israeli military declined to comment. Among those wounded were Iran's ambassador to Lebanon. The mysterious explosions came amid rising tensions between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah, which have exchanged fire across the Israel-Lebanon border since October 7th's attack by Hamas and the war on Gaza. The pagers that blew up were apparently acquired by Hezbollah after the group's leader ordered members in February to stop using cell phones, warning that they could be tracked by Israeli intelligence. A Hezbollah official told the Associated Press the pagers were a new brand, but declined to say how long they had been in use. A Taiwanese company, Gold Apollo, said Wednesday that it authorized its brand on the AR-924 pagers used by the Hezbollah militant group, but the devices were produced and sold by a company called BAC. At about 3:30 p.m. local time on Tuesday, as people shopped for groceries, sat in cafes, and drove cars and motorcycles in the afternoon traffic, the pagers in their hands or pockets started heating up and then exploding, leaving blood-splattered scenes and panicked bystanders. Okay, so I just want you to imagine for a minute, right? You're in a crowded city, Atlanta, New York, anything like that. And people are just sitting there waiting in traffic, and they've got their phones in their hand, right? And then suddenly, without warning, all you see over in that area where that person had their phone in their hand is just a red mist. And you hear a loud pop. A loud explosion. That person is gone forever from the world, and you get to see all of the blood and bone and tissue and fecal matter that goes everywhere when you do that. That's traumatic for everybody that survives the damn thing, not even counting the people who, die as a result of the explosions. So that certainly is impressive. I think they hacked it to explode the lithium batteries. Fucking hell. Said pagers would be small and easy to hide anywhere. Yep. Yeah, if Israel ended up doing this, then that's just terrorism on another fucking nation. Not something that they weren't already doing, right? Like, the only reason that Gaza's not known, like Palestine's not known as an actual nation right now, is because Israel has so much levying power within multiple other countries' governments, right? It only killed 9 people and 1,000 were injured. If Sevi says it's weird, I truly feel alien because what you see, what is defined as human, I cannot see myself as one because there are so many violent humans. Sefi, that's a dumb way to look at it. And I'm going to explain, but that's a dumb way to look at it. I'm not saying that to be insulting to you. What I am saying is that the worst thing anybody can do is disassociate themselves so far from violent acts caused by actual monsters to somehow push themselves into believing that they could never do the same thing. The fact of the matter is, anybody can be an abuser. Anybody can engage in a war crime. Anybody can sink to the levels of the Nazi Party. Anybody can do these things. All it takes is the right pressures to cause somebody to go that way. To disassociate yourself from that is to prevent yourself from being vigilant against those pressures. That's not a healthy thing to do. It's a way to kind of just subsist on arrogance. I'm not saying that you're arrogant, but as an example, the people who are most likely to fall into a cult are also the people who don't find themselves as skeptical of their own ability to fall for cults. The people who are confident in their ability to suss out bullshit, incredibly confident in that ability, are also the people who sometimes can end up just falling for all of it as well, because it creates blind spots for them. Axo says everyone has a little Nazi inside them thing. I don't think everybody has a little Nazi inside them. I think everybody has potential to be anything inside them. And that's far more scary because we think of Nazis as the worst possible thing a human being can be, but I assure you there are worse things humans can be. We just haven't found enough of them yet to point to them as our new the big bad group. And that's way more terrifying than everybody having just a little Nazi in them. But let's go ahead and continue here. Let's see what's going on. It appeared that many of those hit were members of Hezbollah, but it was not immediately clear if non-Hezbollah members also carried any of the exploding pagers. The blasts were mainly in areas where the group has a strong presence, particularly in southern Beirut suburbs and in the Bekaa region of eastern Lebanon, as well as in Damascus, according to Lebanese security officials and a Hezbollah official. The Hezbollah official spoke on condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to talk to the press. The explosions came hours after Israel's internal security agency said it had foiled an attempt by Hezbollah to kill a former senior Israeli official using a planted explosive device that could be remotely detonated. Interesting. That they would basically just claim, hey, we just stopped this remote detonation from happening. Sure would be a shame if other remote detonations happened. That sounds sus as fuck. Experts said that the pager explosions pointed to a long-planned operation, possibly carried out by infiltrating the supply chain and rigging the devices with explosives before they were delivered to Lebanon. Whatever the means, it targeted an extraordinary breadth of people with hundreds of small explosions, wherever the pager carrier happened to be, that left some maimed. One online video showed a man picking through produce at a grocery store when the bag he was carrying at his hip exploded, sending him sprawling to the ground and bystanders running. At overwhelmed hospitals, wounded were rushed in on stretchers, some with missing hands, faces partly blown away or gaping holes at their hips and legs, according to Associated Press photographers. On a main road in central Beirut, a car door was splattered with blood and the windshield cracked. Lebanon Health Minister Firas Abiad told Qatar's Al Jazeera network at least 9 people were killed, including an 8-year-old girl, and some 2,750 people were wounded. 200 of them critically wounded by the explosions. Most had injuries in the face, hand, or around the abdomen. So basically around the area you'd pull the pager up, the hand you're holding the pager in, and then the abdomen close to where you would be holding the pager yourself if you were not actively using it. So it's like those helicopter leaf bombs that don't discriminate. That death toll, yeah, that death toll is going to grow. It's 9 people right now, but if 200 people are in critical condition, and also technology that doctors would need to use is not available to them, I need to close that door. I love my girlfriend. I love her dearly, but at the same time, she's also on stream, and we can cross streams. But the fact that pagers are also used by medical staff quite often means that every single bit of technology that could be used to make that hospital that is treating those patients more efficient is now sus as a potential weapon. Said Sawara says, worse, it means that if someone's a doctor, they would probably want to not have a pager in that situation. Yeah, exactly. Sebi says also, really quick, Suris. Really quick what? You just checked the post on Twitter, YouTube, and YouTube already posted twice. Cool. I'll be taking a look at that here in a minute. For now, I am just flabbergasted by the fact that a specific piece of technology that would be used solely for the purpose of avoiding Israel would be detonated by them. And that piece of technology is also typically used by the medical staff that would be needed to take care of the critically injured. It seems like a very, very powerful way to harm a lot of fucking people. Sawara says it's also disproportionately used by doctors and nurses. Yeah. Citra says, I mean, lithium batteries can blow up, not at the same time, though. Yeah, it's not like everybody had, what was it, the Samsung Note 7, I want to say? I don't remember exactly which one it was. But the one that exploded on an airplane, like, it's like, not all of those blew up at the exact same time. This is a remote detonation. Sylvie says, why the fuck are they hurting innocents? Well, here's the thing. Here's what happens in war. War's nasty business. It's not good. It's not a thing we should ever strive to engage in. So if it's decided that you need to use a piece of technology that can be remote detonated to get to people, and you know that your strategy infiltrators have found that those people are going to stop using cell phones because they can be tracked via GPS, so you end up supplying the technology that they would need because you're Israel, you have lots of information when it comes to the supply lines. It makes perfect sense that they would try to, at the very least, put in pagers that would be in the same hands as the Hezbollah militants, but, you know, a GPS or something, right? Something to counteract the fact that they would be hiding their GPS signal by not using cell phones. But no, going, hey, if we've already got a piece of tech in the hands of the Hezbollah military, maybe we can detonate them and kill all the people. So it's barbaric. It is horrifying if Israel is the one that actually did this, and it seems like it is probably the case. It is terrible. But if you are sitting there as a military leader and you're just trying to find results, there's no amount of civilians on the other side that's going to get in the way of that. And that's really fucked up, because we call that a war crime for a reason. Let's see here. Old Gus says dehumanization and justification. Yeah. It's you end up dehumanizing them a lot. The United States did this with Japan. We dehumanized a fuck ton of Japanese citizens. Hell, we threw them into camps ourselves. We actively dehumanized them because they were a military enemy of ours at the time. Or at least Japan, the nation, TM, was a military enemy of ours at the time. So every Japanese person, and in many cases Japanese-looking people, ended up being public enemy number one, ended up being persona non grata, because you end up dehumanizing the enemy. That's something that our military and many militaries in the past have done an incredibly efficient job of doing for years. There's two ways. If you've ever been in the military, there are two ways that your training goes, and it depends on the era of the military you were in. An older playbook for the American military was to train soldiers by dehumanizing the enemy, to make it more likely that you would kill the enemy. Over time, we evolved into using a different tactic, which is defend your brother in arms. At least that's what we leaned on more, because we found that the dehumanization stopped working after a while. The internet era kind of ruined that for a lot of people, because you can't just pretend that these are savages from a different land when you're able to look at a TikTok from a creator who lives in a fucking shack from that area that you're going to be attacking. You can't do the same level of dehumanization. So you end up going with the defend your brothers in arms. Look at what happened in Vietnam if people didn't look after each other. That kind of shit ends up being what you do instead, because it is more effective. Instead of telling people these enemies are monsters, you are saying, hey, whether or not they're monsters, they might try to kill your friend. Maybe defend your friend. That's what militaries end up doing. That doesn't mean that there's militaries who don't still use that playbook of dehumanization, and this is the end result of that kind of playbook. You end up not caring how many casualties end up happening as a result of what you're doing. You don't care about the civilians getting hit because you've dehumanized them. They've been depersoned in your mind. They are just a number and a statistic that is a side effect of you doing the right job. It's terribly fucked up, but it is in fact a thing that happens in the real world. And I wish it didn't. Let's continue. It appeared that 8 of the dead belonged to Hezbollah. The group issued a statement confirming at least 2 of their members were killed in the pager bombings. One of them was the son of a Hezbollah member in parliament, according to the Hezbollah official who spoke anonymously. The group later issued announcements that 6 other members were killed Tuesday, though it did not specify how. They said, we hold the Israeli enemy fully responsible for this criminal aggression that also targeted civilians. They added that Israel will for sure get its just punishment. Iranian state-run IRNA News said that the country's ambassador, Mujtaba Amani, was superficially wounded by an exploding pager and was being treated at a hospital. Previously, Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah had warned the group's members not to carry cell phones, saying that they could be used by Israel to track and target them, which is true. They can be. Sean Morehouse, a former British Army officer and explosives ordnance disposal expert, said videos of the blasts suggested a small explosives charge, as small as a pencil eraser, had been placed into the devices. They would have had to have been rigged prior to delivery, very likely by Mossad, Israel's foreign intelligence agency. Elijah J. Magnier, a Brussels-based senior political risk analyst, said he spoke with Hezbollah members who had examined pagers that failed to explode. What triggered the blast, he said, appeared to be an error message sent to all of the devices that caused them to vibrate, forcing the user to click on the buttons to stop the vibration. The combination detonated a small amount of explosives hidden inside and ensured that the user was present when the blast went off. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. Oh, hold on. I got an error message real quick. Let me just click that and dead. That's evil. Razor says, so the Israeli government wants to be the one that kicks off World War III. Yeah, imagine being the nation that World War II showed you as the victims of. Like, you were the major victim of World War II, right? The most deaths, the most casualties thrown in the internment camps. That is your spot of World War II. But then in World War III, you just looked at all of the shit the Germans did and went, yeah, we have the tech to do better. Fuck Netanyahu. Jesus Christ. So that's even more than just evil. It's calculated. It's callous. Citra says it's better than having malware exploding the battery. It's I don't know how to feel about that. Senna said, I had my money on Russia before realizing Russia's military sucks. Yeah, if Russia's military were better, they could have actually taken over a much smaller country, but they couldn't. Israel has a long history of carrying out deadly operations well beyond its borders. This year, separate Israeli airstrikes in Beirut killed senior Hamas official Sela Arorai and a top Hezbollah commander. A mysterious explosion in Iran, also blamed on Israel, killed Ismail Haniyeh, Hamas's supreme leader. Israel has killed Hamas militants in the past with booby-trapped cell phones and is widely believed to have been behind the Stuxnet computer virus attack in Iran's nuclear program in 2010. The pager bombings are likely to stoke Hezbollah's worry about vulnerabilities and security and communication, as Israel officials are threatened to escalate their months-long conflict. The near-daily exchanges of fire between Israel and Hezbollah have killed hundreds in Lebanon and several dozen in Israel, and have displaced tens of thousands of people on both sides of the border. Janine Hennis Plachar, I think I'm saying that right, I'm probably not, the UN Special Coordinator for Lebanon, deplored the attack and warned that it marks an extremely concerning escalation in what is already an unacceptably volatile context. On Tuesday, Israel said that halting Hezbollah's attacks in the north to allow residents to return to their homes is now an official war goal. Israeli Defense Minister Gallant said that the focus of the conflict is shifting from Gaza to Israel's north, and that time is running out for diplomatic solutions with Hezbollah. Well, time is going to keep running out if you do shit like pager bombs, right? That's okay. Okay. Sure, why not? Now note, as with any of these developing stories, we don't have all of the information available for it. I wish we did, but what I can say is that based on the information that is available, holy shit, I want to ram my head into a wall. Citrus Peppercorn going, that's a price I'm willing to pay. Netanyahu, probably. Israel just keeps on doing shit that makes them look absolutely horrible in the public eye. And the only reason that they don't get completely condemned every time this shit happens is because they are a trade partner of the United States. They trade in military equipment with the U.S. If they weren't that, they would be seen as a terrorist nation right now. That's typically what ends up happening when you do shit like this right now. Sakura says it's not even that. No, it is that. It is that, Sakura, because I have heard that straight from the mouths of people in fucking Congress. It is entirely that. Yes, there is the aspect of the, Seven Mountains shit where they go, oh, Israel needs to be in power so we can do the apocalypse. But no, actual Republican congressmen have said, hey, the reason that we are not doing this shit, the reason we are not actively condemning Israel is they are a trade partner with us. They are a trade partner with the United States. So they maintain a level of safety, and then the U.S. gets to have a level of complicity in this stupid shit. Sakura says it's also not even not the Seven Mountain BS. Then what is it? I am curious. I am curious what it is, if not the things that parties have said multiple times about it. Citrus Peppercorn says our land air base is in the Middle East. Stuff. It's because Israel is one of the 2 regional powers that work with the U.S. to enhance power projection. I mean, that too. Our military presence in the Middle East is greatly bolstered by by Israel. So, yeah, I guess there's that too. All in all, it makes it really hard to criticize people who are in our pockets, and we are in the pockets of, for various reasons. And the worst part about this too is that on top of all of that, right? On top of the ability to see what Israel's doing and say, yeah, that's bad, that's horrible, that shouldn't be happening, it's so easy for somebody who's anti-Semitic to point to this and go, that's why I don't like the Jews. It's super easy for somebody like that to do that. And that's supremely fucked up. There is no part about that that is okay. But I've seen that shit on Twitter. Where they're like, this is what happens when you give Jews power. It makes me want to ram my head into a wall. Using this as an example to be anti-Semitic, using this as an example to say that people should be displaced from their homes. Like, there are solutions to this conflict that don't involve eliminating a fucking race on any side. And yet, apparently, Israel wants to do genocide in Gaza, and a bunch of edgelords on Twitter want to do genocide on Israel. It's fucking insane. It's stupid. The world is a mess. Anyway, I didn't plan on doing this topic, but it happened to me anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Insert end the video tagline here. Hey, just wanted to give a quick thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who help keep me afloat and help keep this channel going. YouTube and Twitch are wonderful platforms, but at the end of the day, stability is not one of their strong suits. If you want to support my channel, then obviously Patreon is one of the best ways of doing that. Link is in the description. But I do want to personally thank everybody who has contributed to the channel. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Autumn and Angel, Nixie Chan, Agamotto, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that. Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. And everyone else who supports my channel and lets me do what I do full-time. This is a dream job of mine that I never believed that I would be able to take full-time, and with your help, I've been able to do it. So thank you so very much for that. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you all enjoy, and I hope you all are having a wonderful time. I will see you all in the next one, hopefully.